Welcome, everyone, to Manifesting with Meg, Conversations with Extraordinary People. This is Season 8, Stay and Joy, Episode 149. Enough, live your own life already. And today, we're always a conversation away from extraordinary. As you all know, it's time to wake up to a universe packed with possibility and perhaps even bliss. And I have an amazing guest to do that. I have Ewa Zielinska. She is here with me from Poland, and I'm so excited to share her wisdom with all of you. She is probably one of my most favorite manifestors out there. And I always like to say we get intentional even today. So, welcome, my friend Ewa. I'm intentionally setting out that we're going to have an incredible conversation today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Meg. Thank you for having me. It's really such an honor to be here with you.
So I want to introduce all of you to Ewa as we celebrate joy and the month of sweet inspiration. I think her journey is incredible, and I know that you will too. She has been on a journey of self discovery starting over a decade ago when she realized a need for change after her anxiety neurosis started interfering with her quality of life, which I know all too well. That's probably why we love each other so much, Ewa. Her search led her to study human behavior and development, cognitive, behavioral, and body centered therapies, shamanic medicine, hypnotherapy, and energy psychology, just to name a few. Her journey of self healing and exploration became a professional interest, leading her to pursue relevant studies and training. She's passionate about helping people become the person they want to be and create the future they envision for themselves. So, without further ado, welcome, Ewa. It's such a pleasure to have you here today. We were saying before we even got online, the energies are really kind of off the charts. And it's interesting that our theme is enough, live your life already. Tell me, what does all of this mean to you right now?
I think that it's very often easier said than done. Live your own life, go like enjoy and be happy. And, it's if it was that easy, I'm sure we wouldn't have such a mental health crisis that we have been facing for many years now. So, I think that there are many aspects of, we as humans are very complex.
Yeah.
And even though we are very similar, as like when it comes to human needs, for example, we are also different in the way we express them, or in the way that we want to meet our needs. So yeah, so far, it's been a bit intense lately, but I like to I would say stay positive, and to ground myself, especially in moments when it's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
So
How do you stay in joy when things feel chaotic?
actually, I allow myself to feel sad and cry, and sometimes feel, and not pretend, or not be happy in a way, because we know that what does it mean to be happy? To be happy means that we are allowing ourselves to experience all kinds of emotions. So if I feel down, if I want to cry, if I am upset, I allow myself to cry. Sometimes I will scream when I am by myself, of course. I would say that probably crying is one of my favorite ones. But I do sometimes scream when I get angry, and I always do it in a safe place, whether it's a car when I am by myself, or whatever I am. Sometimes in my apartment, I will go to my room or somewhere, and that doesn't really happen often anymore, because I used to have a lot of suppressed anger years ago. But I used to release a lot of that in with my therapist.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so I would say that I allow myself not to feel happy sometimes, and it's good. It's it feels good when we are authentic, and when we actually when we are, I would say that I value a lot that quality in people when they are able to be authentic in front of others, because it really takes, I would say, courage, and being vulnerable is not always
Mhm.
easy.
Yeah.
And it's, I guess sometimes it's easier to put on a smile and pretend that everything is okay, but and at the same time, what is it that we are showing to others, especially when we are talking about children or teenagers, right? We will actually want to show them that, hey, it's okay to not pretend, like to actually not pretend that, oh, like, and here we can talk about toxic
Yeah.
positivity, right? Where sometimes we, sometimes there are people who are just always smiling and always happy, and sometimes you wonder, okay, is that really a human,
Like,
because is it really possible
yeah.
to be that, always that optimistic? And I like to look at things in an optimistic way, and at the same time, I have days when I feel, when my energy is a little bit lower, or I just want to, I need time, a little bit more me time, right? To
Yeah.
stay with myself, to connect with myself, to ground myself. Yeah.
What is your intention for this year, or like what's left of it, I guess, at this point?
I actually don't think in terms of years.
Okay.
So I don't really, I don't. So whenever we have a new month or a new year or a new week or a new day, I like to think in big pictures. So I have my vision, and I'm just looking at, okay, what are the steps that I need to take to realize that vision that is big, big enough to, to take me my whole life probably to realize it, and it's okay. I'm not into setting, intentions for a specific year or.
I want to know a little bit more about. I know that we were talking about that you were dealt with a lot of trauma, and that's something that you really focus on to help other people. What is it that inspired this path to well-being, that switched you from perhaps, walking through such a way that you see more light than darkness?
So I always, had, like, I always look at life in a, in a positive way.
Mm.
And at the same time, there was something that happened that, that hit me very, very hard, when literally overnight many things, I would say, collapsed. And it was, it was, even though I did some therapy before, at that moment actually turned everything upside down. I felt like I had never, like, I hadn't done any work, which
Yeah.
was not true, because I was already, I was already doing different things,
Yeah.
and that moment, it was 6 years ago, over 6 years ago. That moment actually, my my life turned into a very difficult time, I would say.
Yeah.
And it took me, again, it took me to a different form of therapy, to finding a somatic therapist.
Yeah.
And and still have, at that point, I was depressed for many years. It took me many years to actually get out of it. And it's that inner conflict sometimes that we have, or
Yeah.
actually very often, probably. So there was like this part of me that, that had dreams at some point, that, my dreams came back, and, and didn't want to give up, like wanted to persevere,
Yeah.
and at the same time, there was a part of me that felt very hurt, that felt hopeless, that felt, like, oh, the landing was so hard, that I don't know if I can do it. And
Yeah.
so somatic therapy includes using your body in a way, to, you're observing your body, you're moving your body the way it wants to move. I would scream, I would hit literally, whether it was like a big mattress that
Yes.
was there, or I had a baseball bat that I would use, and,
Right.
and moving my body in a way to, so the
Yeah.
energy that was stuck, that I wasn't really aware of, so it could be released. And so, because I did the talk therapy before,
Yeah.
and that in that moment, when things had happened, or happened, I wanted to find a somatic therapy,
Yeah.
because I felt like, what, talk therapy, is good to a certain extent, to a
Yeah.
certain point.
I
And
agree.
then I felt the need to go a little bit further. So, having the support of my amazing therapist, with whom I spent over 1,000 hours,
Wow.
and, talking about
Dedication.
intense therapy,
Yeah.
some at the beginning being 4 to 6 hours a week.
Wow.
Uh,
You would
yes.
definitely persevere and you're definitely resilient.
Yes,
That's
and
for
you
sure.
see, and that's exactly what it is. That was this part of me that, it's like I was really suffering inside, and at the same time, I would show up at every single appointment.
Wow.
So it was, yeah. So at some point, I actually pat myself and said, you know what, you never gave up on yourself,
I know that's
even
amazing.
though that many times it was, I felt, and I shared it with my therapist, it felt as if I was banging, against the wall.
Yeah.
Like, because, and I remember saying to her, like, why is it that I'm not feeling, I've been seeing you for a while now, and it's like, I had moments when things would be better, but it would be better for a week or two, and then I would go back again. And she said to me, she was like, whenever you're working on changing your character structure,
Mm.
it's never a short-term therapy. Our nervous system is really everything.
So it's a form of a neuroscientific approach to rewiring your neural pathways then.
Yes.
Oh, I like that.
Yes, you're, as we know, like, in life, things are neutral, and
Yeah.
it's, we, each of us, we assign the meaning to things,
Mm.
to experiences, to events.
Right.
So that's why, yeah, so working on restructuring the character structure, I would say, it's basically working on your nervous system, assigning a new meaning, and becoming aware of different things, because it's such a delicate subject, our nervous system. Like, you really, it's really, in case of, in the case of nervous system, sometimes the slower we go, the faster we move. It's like, because the faster doesn't mean better. Sometimes faster can actually take you, a little bit backward, like a little bit, I guess, backwards.
Yeah, that's right. It pushes you back. Yeah, I agree. I
So
this theme for this month is sweet inspiration, right? So inspiration, breathing life into something else. And I think that when you're breathing life into your character structure, I think there's a different result that comes on the other side, as long as you're taken through whatever process you're going through with a trusted individual. And obviously you trusted your therapist because you've called her great so many times. So I picked that up. This is a quote that we're following with the beautiful "Enough, live your own life" already. It's a George Bernard Shaw quote. He's an Irish playwright and co-founder of the London School of Economics. People who say it cannot be done should not interrupt those who are doing it. And I find it very fascinating, that quote, because when you're ready to live a life that speaks to you and break out of, say, perhaps the structures that we've been used to habitually, and start something new that more aligns with that becoming part of you, it's very challenging at first because some people around us might not be welcoming that so much. However, because there's no guarantees what will happen in the end, and you don't want to lose sight of those you love, but at the same time, you want to risk further so that you can see what you were talking about, maybe that vision unfolding. It's a beautiful thing when you just say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take an inventory of my own life, and I'm going to set out on a path that hopefully, like you were saying, that hope factor leads me more closely to my bigger vision for why I'm here, my why. So the magical key is scream out. I love that. We were talking about screaming before. Basta così, live your life already. So tell me a little bit about your approach to that. I know that we were saying before you've processed through somatic therapy. You've also, done so much work. 6 years is a lot. You've come so far. How does this quote resonate with you?
Well, I think that it's actually interesting. I remember our last retreat that we were when we were in Finland, and there was a girl that was who was walking around and asking people to. She had a little notebook, and I remember, and she asked people to write something if they
Yeah,
can, for her, like a little message or something.
I remember.
And I remember writing there, just saying, "Live your life," and "your" was like bolded, and that's something that I like to emphasize, because very often we think that we live our own life, yet we it actually may be a pattern, or a life that is a repetition of our ancestors.
Oh, that's so
So
great.
it's like we may think that we are doing something that, yeah, of course, this is my choice, and I'm I am living my life. And at the same time, I feel like the moments that things are not working anymore, or maybe there is a pattern that hasn't been the most beneficial, that's the time when we would like to look into, the history of ourselves,
Yeah.
our parents, our grandparents, etc. But going back to your question, I think that you know I think it's easier said than done to go and live your life. And from my experience, of course, I can only share my experience. Everyone, has it differently. So, and for me, it it hasn't been the easiest, just because I'm very analytical, and I connect the dots very easily. And sometimes it's great, and sometimes, it may be hard. So, in my case, I like to perceive people, events, things that are happening in life. And what you were talking about, what you were sharing, like, oh, if someone tells you that you can't do it, right? I like to perceive everything as a messenger for me.
Oh, I love that.
Because for me, it's a way to, okay, so what, like, if something triggered me, or if something, I don't know, angered me,
Yeah.
or whatever it is, I like to I like to think in terms of, okay, what is the belief that I have that I am unaware of yet, that made me co-create this situation, this experience.
While you're experiencing it, you stop. Is it like an out of body like awareness that you're looking
So,
at yourself from like like existential kind of point of view, or like, I wonder why this is happening, while like that there's a
mhm.
craziness going on, right?
So that's exactly what's happening in
Wow.
my head. What happens in my head
Wow.
very often.
Interesting.
So that I actually I am becoming an observer,
Wow,
and
that's
I'm
really
like,
interesting.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
what is going on here? It's like, why, like, what is a belief that I'm having that I am actually, that I haven't been aware of yet, that I'm actually co-creating this experience. So the next thing is that, coming from anxiety and OCD, like healing that, which
Could
we
you imagine
know
if you put that on your resume? Ava, anxiety and OCD. Actually, that's actually a
PhD,
good,
it should be like,
yeah.
PhD in healing anxiety and OCD.
Yeah.
Um, so, it's been a long process, and I also learned many things, many things from that process. So, not only working with my therapist, but also working with many other amazing people,
Yeah.
including my coach, or my kinesiology practitioner, or other people.
Yeah.
I, like, for many years, for many years, I have known what I want. So I always had, I was, my clarity about my dreams, or my, like, I guess my heart's desires were pretty clear.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very important step to know, or to have, or to do, I guess, to get the clarity. Because
Yeah.
the moment, whenever we feel anxious, and the anxiety sometimes can be very, very intense.
Right.
For me, having that clarity was very helpful, because it helped me to switch my attention from anxiety to, which we know that happens when our focus unconsciously often goes to what we don't want,
Right.
to actually pull myself, and quickly be like, okay, what is it that I want,
Yeah.
so I could shift my focus.
Yeah.
And here, the another very important, or a key aspect in that, we talked about it before as well, that if it was that easy, we know, but the number two, that, or having clarity is the one thing, and at the same time, working with your nervous system
Yeah.
to actually make your vision, to make it safe, to make it feel safe on the nervous system level,
You know,
right?
I think another point to what you're saying right now, and it's habit forming, right? So to replace, maybe not even replace, maybe to create new habits that would make that a safe area to become fully into that vision, so that you aren't feeling like
Mhm.
it's so out of your realm of possibility. And I think that interesting thing a lot of times is, sometimes I look to those people that inspire me so that I can imitate, which they always say imitation is the highest form of flattery and the sincerest form of flattery. but things that I can grab onto to kind of drag me forward into my life. So, our first quote today is from Robert Downey Jr. It's really not that difficult to overcome those seemingly ghastly problems. What's hard is to decide. Tell me a little bit about this one and how it resonates with you.
So, I love this quote. And I saw it when he was giving an interview. And the journalist asked him, to tell about, what was difficult. The question was something like, tell me what was difficult about overcoming your addictions, right? And he said that the journey itself wasn't really that difficult. What was difficult was to decide, to make a decision. And I think that, again, easier said than done. Because, in my perspective, in my experience, it deciding has to do, it has, in a way, it has two sides. On the one hand, you are deciding and you're moving towards something that that you want, and that's great. And at the same time, there is the other side of that, where there is a form of grief
That's really powerful. Yeah.
associated with that. Grief, a topic that we often, think, when we think about grief, we think about, when someone close to us or someone that we love dies or passes away, right? Or an animal or a person, or, and we know that grief is not only that.
Yeah.
We can, we have many, we experience grief many times in
Yeah.
our lives, whether it's different stages of life,
Yeah.
or or changing a job, or moving to a new place, or of course with relationships, we know that. And when it comes to this, when we decide, in his case, healing from his addiction, it's it it's like, I can talk about my experience from with anxiety and OCD, and you know and I guess a part of identity, or a part that became my identity. So when I decided, I was grieving a
Yeah.
lot. I was grieving. It was going in waves, as grief usually does. There are different stages, and yeah, it's I think it's like life, it's like, I would say it's like a little bit like happiness, when we allow ourselves to experience different kinds of emotions. And I think with making a decision is a similar process. It's not only about, oh, I'm happy, I decided. It's like, the next thing you know, you can go and cry, because it's also sad at the same time, because some things
Yeah.
are finishing at the same time. So certain things, they begin, they're about to begin, and certain things, they are ending. So
That's
so I think,
powerful.
it also helped, whatever happened, in many ways, it helped us to become who we are today. So and as we know, whenever we are working on change, in order for change to be, I don't want to say permanent, because that's like a paradox in
Yeah.
itself, but let's say permanent, or or I don't know, for the lack of a better word, we we need to work on our identity. Who am I
Yeah.
when when I am this kind of person that I want to be? Who am I when I have that relationship that I want? Who am I when I am a successful, entrepreneur? Or when I am, all kinds of, like, we can put here everything that we come up with.
I
So
think it's very interesting that you say we get to decide. We have to decide when we want to move out of where we are into where we might go. So you have this wonderful quote, you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Now, I need to know what went through your mind on this one.
um when we have something that we want to change, by focusing, of course, some at some, our focus goes to the problem or something that we want to change,
Right.
something that we don't want anymore. And it's, if we want to, first of all, again, clarity. So getting clear on what we want is one thing. And at the same time, it's it we need to work on shifting our mindset, because whatever brought us, I know it sounds cliche, but whatever brought us to that point will not take us further, will not take us to the next step, or to a different vision, I would say. Maybe that was very helpful up until now, and I'm sure it was. And now, if I want to change something,
Like
I
that.
need to start looking at things a little bit differently. What else is possible? And yeah, I really like that, because I love that quote, because it's very often when we want to change things, we are not thinking about
Hmm.
changing our perspective. We are a bit fighting with ourselves, in a way that, we want to stay the way we are, yet we want things to be differently. And when we talk about manifesting, we know that, our manifestations are, they're very, I would say they're, I would say that they're the result of our energy, of our perspective. What is a miracle? Miracle is a shift in perspective, period.
So I want to ask you about manifesting, because you and I, obviously, this is manifesting with Meg. You and I are very much on the same page with regard to the concept. I know people say it's like wishful thinking, but you and I both know it's inspired action along with the clarity that you speak of intention, right? Because that's really the powerful one, too. At least for me, I believe, and the whole Neville Goddard, your need to be aware first, the power of awareness, power of want, power of intention. I think all of it coupled with the power of action. So, this building a new model that makes the existing model obsolete is really a powerful concept. I do believe, back to what we were saying before, it's hard to decide to let go of what we knew to move into what we might know in the future, because it takes a risk and it's that hopeful notion. So I do believe that, in many ways, that's quite a powerful, belief there to start off with. So tell me a little bit about that.
um, you know I want to say something about taking action, what you just mentioned,
Mhm,
because, and again, I'm talking about my experience,
mhm,
that having clarity and, you know, taking action is only one step. Sometimes we can do things that we would say, oh, that are in alignment with what we want, with our vision, yet it can feel, it's like building a new habit, right? If we don't combine it
mhm,
with our energy alignment
Yeah.
inside, we will struggle. We can you know how they say that, oh, we need 21 days or 60 days or 48 days, because there are many theories and it depends really what it is that we are working on. All of them are right. Again, there are different habits, there are different nervous systems. It's all good. So, how if we do a new habit, if we do it, if we keep repeating it for a certain amount of days, then it will become easier and it will become our second nature.
Yeah.
Yes, and we
Yes.
know that, we know that, again, even after doing something for 100 or 200 days every day, if nothing has changed about our mindset, if nothing has changed about mindset, which is perspective, then we may still feel as if we are dragging doing something, even though, hey, I've been doing it every day for 200 days and it still doesn't feel like a second nature. Why is that? Well, because I think the missing piece is you haven't looked at you haven't changed your perspective.
Yeah.
You haven't aligned yourself like energetically. And I feel like it's very different when we do things, when doing comes from being.
Perhaps you can share with me what you think about this.
So I would say that it's what I mentioned at the beginning, that we as humans are more similar
Ah,
than
yeah.
we think we are. And
So true.
yes, and I think that we as humans, we do have the same needs. We use different strategies to meet them. And I think that when when we embark, I would say, on this journey, of life, let's say. I don't want to say necessarily of healing, but it is really healing. Like, I guess we are here on this planet to experience different things. Sometimes it's pleasant, sometimes it's not. And I think that, life, um, the older we get, I think very often the more humble we become.
I think that's
And the more we are able to see ourselves in another.
That's beautiful, actually, Eva. That's really beautiful. Imagine if we all looked around us and did not see strangers, but a little piece of ourselves. That's really beautiful. What do you think about how that would change the world?
I think that the more empathy and acceptance we have to ourselves or towards ourselves, uh, the more acceptance and empathy we have towards others.
And as we allow ourselves moving in to the intentional portion of the show, we set our intentions at the outset so that we somehow synchronistically come about a message that we've come to share at the end. So what was your intention today and what page in the Magical Guide to Bliss?
17.
17. So your intention today was that something would resonate with whoever's listening, they would hear something beautiful from this conversation. How could they not, for sure? And 17 is the Magical Guide to Bliss's Trust Your Choices, which is very interesting because we were talking about deciding, right? And the interesting quote is beautiful. Since every choice is a fork in the road, each decision brings it with new hope and promise. That's Richard Carlson, PhD. And his magical key to bliss is decide that you proceed today with great enthusiasm for life. And I love how that corresponded to the whole Robert Downey Jr. quote, got to decide. And once you do, open your eyes to see what comes your way and be very willing recipient of the gifts from that day. And I I think that that matches perfectly. That hope somebody will listen to some of the wisdom that you've shared today and take it away and decide to use that to benefit them. And like you were saying, which I thought was so beautiful, with the we're all in this together. Give yourself some empathy so that you can give others as well. Make that decision, and it's a beautiful unfolding. Okay. What's next for you? Where can people find you?
Well, so I am working on my book.
Mm,
Um,
love it.
I can't really say when I'm going to finish it because it's, yeah, it's a process. It's a process, and I could easily write 4 books that when I put down everything on paper, I was like, okay, it's not a one book, but I'm focusing on one book. So that's one thing.
Where can we find that website?
Well, the website is mindsetlounge.com.
Okay, so that's mindsetlounge.com. Great.
Yes, exactly. I'm not really active on social media. So yeah, so I guess the website is really the best way to find.
I have absolutely loved every bit of wisdom you shared today. Send us out with a final message. Maybe in line with enough already, or maybe something else that's speaking out through you.
Hmm. I would just say what comes to me. Um, Enjoy.
Enjoy. Oh, that's so perfect. That is literally something that I am hoping to manifest more of, enjoyment. And I love that you've ended this with that. So I want to thank you, Eva, for saying yes to this conversation today. I want to thank you for all the information that you provided, the wisdom. And definitely want to thank you for our friendship. It's been such a wonderful journey together. And I love the fact that we're all in this together. And I've happened to have met you on my path in this life. I also want to encourage everyone to keep walking, taking that next best step to those great decisions that you're making, open to sweet inspiration along the way. And may everyone feel inspired and listened to take a chance to dare to dream and manifest joyfully this year. Get ready to dazzle. Thank you so much, Eva. Last word goes to you, my friend.
Well, thank you so much, Meg, for having me. This conversation wouldn't be the way it was without an amazing host.
Thank you.
So you're amazing, and you know that. So thank you for having us, and I really hope that whoever listens or watches, that they will get inspired, and they will take whatever they need in that moment from our conversation.
I love it. And from your words to their ears, enjoy, everyone. Thank you so much. Big kiss, everybody.
Thank you. Bye bye.